Spiral, 2 Jews, 2 mics, 2 hours, starting now.
I got this book, Pranks You Can Do Around the House with Your Wife, and Susan hates it. Susan hates it. First of all, I started with a classic.
Yeah.
The bottle of the bucket of water falls on your head.
Sure.
But I didn't know, is there a way to make just the water fall without the bucket? Because that's what you didn't like.
Yeah, you could put a hose over the edge of the door and just flip it on at the right time.
I have not tried any of those pranks. I've never tried to remove a tooth by tying a thing.
That's not a prank. That's a practical home remedy.
You think in the old days that they would have W.C. Fields like characters go, let me take your tooth out for you there. Wasn't he the dentist?
He did do yes. I mean, he was not solely the dentist, but that was one of his movies, yes.
I can't, but first of all, there's some things about, first of all, good morning to you.
Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. There's so many things about you that are unlike me. One of the things that are unlike me is this. First of all, I started to build this thing this morning where I started to say, does he think I'm hanging around ready to go, but not telling him I'm ready? It didn't even make any sense. I must have been groggy. Must have been groggy.
So. Anytime you start with, does he think?
Does he think?
You're on a bad track already.
But here's the other thing. I could never forget if you said you got involved in something. I'm like gluing a plane together, or what were you doing? Your Star Trek plane?
I was typing
Enterprise?
I was typing a sales pitch.
Right. So to me, if I lose track of time, it doesn't come back. It's over. I forgot the thing was. You go, I lost track of time.
Yeah.
That's not possible for me to do that. If I get into another thing, I'm just going to forget whatever the thing was. I know what you're saying. You're saying that you just lost track of time, but for some reason that wouldn't happen to me.
Yeah.
Oh God. It's terrible when you can't even execute bits about yourself that are funny.
Well, I mean, I think part of it. I mean, I don't know if is this a bit or is this what do you? I don't know how to.
Is it always?
I don't know how to. Should I try to discuss an abandoned bit or should I take it as conversation?
I guess what I'm saying is this: I'm razor focused because I could be late or I could be have all kinds of things in my life. I'm laser focused when I get up 10.
Yeah, no. If you have any kind of impending appointment, it seems to weigh on you.
Right. So you don't
like when we were at lunch last week or whenever it was, a couple weeks ago, and you knew that like an hour from then you had to go talk to the Social Security guy. It was like the most teeth gnashing, clock watching hour for you.
I think you were even trying to.
And I had tried to I had already salvaged getting you a waffle. And I was like, he's not even enjoying his waffle, I'm saying to myself. He's looking at his watch.
I know. But, if I had known that 20 minutes from that time period, all of my lifelong worrying would be like, no, it's not going to be a 7-hour call where he tells you to send your birth certificate over to the. No. If I had known it was going to be so easy, maybe I would have been more comfortable. No, I'm not more comfortable.
So far, there's no combination that adds up to you more comfortable.
I wanted to tell you this thing, though. Before you begin, you always start off with your big A, B, and C, or fourthly or fifthly.
Ure.
I don't know if you know this, but I watch. I think not though. I just watch Datelines. I've watched.
You live Dateline.
I have lived Dateline. Right? I'm just telling you, if you're planning to go into sleuthing, that this is a sign all the time. It doesn't. I've seen this on 6 or 7. Well, I'm exaggerating. Datelines where the wife is found bound and gagged near the car or something, and the husband is dead. Right.
I guess.
And she's like bound and gagged, and she's. It's not just one episode. It's a couple. There's a couple of episodes like my husband's gone. They held me down in the thing. No, she killed her husband. If one person is alive,
right,
and any kind of finagling situation, like in the trunk or by the thing or a couple of feet. She did it.
Right.
She did it. And don't be thrown off if she's wrapped up in a. They didn't even wrap her up well.
It's a crime trope. The bound and gagged.
Her son helped her kill the fucking asshole.
Wow. I hope it was a stepfather.
That's always more satisfying, right?
For the kid. That way the kid gets something out of it.
But the thing is, too, is like, it's always a woman. It's not always a woman, but it's always like.
It's never the woman's dead and the man's bound and gagged, I'm guessing.
This one time was like, the woman comes out from inside the house. What's going on here? And, she just killed her husband outside or something. Yeah. She's claiming she slept the whole thing. What's going on? What?
If I learned anything from America's Funniest Home Videos, it's people are terrible actors. They're just not good actors. People think they can act. That's the mistake that most criminals make, is underestimating how hard acting is.
I'm not going to call her a criminal, but the woman who tried to pass off her elbow as her, what was it? Her elbow as her brother's ass. What was it?
I don't know what the fuck.
Kids court.
Damn, yes.
Her lying. I saw right through it. Now maybe she's a young person, so it's easy.
You did foil an 8-year-old like mad.
I kept calling her. This is maybe not right, but I would call her once a year after that girl. She was like 17.
In your face.
I still, every once in a while.
That might have been the only time you successfully tricked someone.
It's true. That's true. I wasn't smoking pot, Susan. I don't smoke pot every time I go outside. I went to see if the recycling is okay, and then remember those plastic bags that you can only keep dry and return to a supermarket? I ran over to the supermarket to put some of those in. You don't even know what I'm talking about. That's how years ago we had this discussion, and now the beautiful market that we have there, I can't even remember the old days.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember. That's how long you've been in my life. So,
chirp, 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 chirp.
What does that mean? In my head? Is that what's going on in my head?
It means that you've stopped to the point where crickets are now audible.
Oh no, I thought it was like a what is it in the cartoons whenever you're knocked out, there's birds?
There's birds, sure. Or stars.
Stars. See,
or birds and stars.
That made me feel like when you were a kid, getting knocked out was fun from those things.
Sure.
I also felt you could get a hamburger from looking at a cow and then imagining it all. This is what they would do in the cartoons. They'd imagine it all like chopped up into meat portions.
Sure. Or if you were starving on a desert island, it would be your friend who would be a chicken leg or a turkey leg.
I also remember dollar signs going in people's eyes in cartoons, but I don't remember why that.
Because they saw potential for a windfall.
I happen to be a big fan of the little jokes they do in comic books, not the superhero comic books, but the little bits they do. It's not like I can't think of one example, but they break the fourth wall. They break the fourth wall. Is what it is. I can't think.
Like Scrooge McDuck? Who are we talking?
No. They're very good. If you wanted to pull out, is Scrooge McDuck is not based on Jim Backus, is it?
No. No relation, in fact.
Well, it's Scrooge.
Yeah.
Wasn't Jim Backus in the...
Well, there was Mr. Magoo's A Christmas Carol.
Oh, the greatest. With razzleberry dressing. I want a Christmas tree on the top a star. Uh-oh, here it goes. This is going to be how it is in the home. I'm not going over there, Allison.
With
Why?
razzleberry dressing. Okay, Mr.
I'm not visiting him anymore over there.
Yes,
Why?
We brought you the fattest goose in the window, Mr. Kindler.
he keeps doing these old bits from cartoons and things like that, but he's an old, doddering man who's on the verge of death. No excuse, Allison. No excuse. You know what? He won't even remember if I don't go there. That's the best part.
Right.
Can't come today, buddy. Been there all week. Oh, I love you, Josh.
I slip the nurse at 20, and she goes in and waves a cardboard cutout of me at you.
Why is it so funny now about me in a home? Now.
Well, it's more funny now than when it's true.
I know, and I don't think that's like a lot of people.
But it's going to be funny when it's true too.
No, people think like I'm going to be in the home and I'm going to be continuing the podcast because the doctor said it would be good for me.
Sure.
Could you prank? I want to be so old that you could prank me if you visited me with a little microphone thing. You said, "No, we're doing it right now."
Right?
Really? Is it coming out?
Yeah.
Really? Why is this so amusing to me?
I don't know. But...
What's another word for doddering? Losing it. I think I'm on camera a lot of the day.
Dotard.
I walk around going, Ray Romano, everybody. Ray Romano. One more time for Ray Romano. But you know what the saddest part is? Ray Romano won't have to be in a home.
No, he'll have home care. He'll have
home care.
He will have very exclusive 24/7 home care.
I don't care if he's 112 years old and he wears socks on his head. He will be protected behind a wall of whatever, richness, wealth.
Yes.
Do you ever say to yourself, it will be better when I die if I'm wealthy? It will be better because it'll be more comfortable. Get me some of that morphine. Get me some of this. Like my mother said, get me a New York, Manhattan doctor to come over and kill me.
I don't think of it so much like that. I think of it I phrase it a different way, which is I don't want to die in poverty.
Yeah, because I think what you're saying is actually better. Because it's still going to be miserable when you die. Because you're not going to go, no, it's not going to be miserable. Only if it is miserable. But the idea of the one with all the toys wins, that one never seems to make any sense to me.
That's not been my credo so far.
Like you're on the dying bed. Show me a picture of my Bentley. Please bring a picture of my Bentley.
I'm more of the one with all the toys has lots of clutter.
No, but like to me, I feel like if your deathbed has a wet bar,
sure,
has music, and drugs. My big thing is going to be if there's. My sister went with hospice. That's what I'm going to go with. Hospice with drugs.
I like an adjustable massaging deathbed.
To me, hell would be sitting in one of those massage chairs forever, not quite getting a massage.
Right.
Because always, no matter what it is, it feels like things either grabbing at your back, or pushing. You can't tell me that they finally, Sharper Image or Brookstone has finally come up with a chair that will knock your socks off.
I don't. You know who loves his massaging chair? Is the Lewis Lee has a massaging chair that he apparently
so cool.
truly loves.
There's another chair. Do you have are you sitting there in the what I consider the best office chair? Harvey Spinner. Harvey, that's not the name. Everybody has them. I have one.
Like
chair.
Like an Aeron?
Aeron chair.
Yeah. No, but I do have something from the whatever Herman Miller family.
Herman Miller family. Because I see these commercials on TV, and I don't think they're going to be good, but they make it seem like this office chair, this is one they have now, this office chair, it's reclining,
right?
And whatever you want to do, your head goes back. Let's say you wanted your head to go to the right a little bit. I mean, I feel like those are not going to be as good as the Herman Miller chair.
I've had, years ago, I had like the top of the line, relax the back.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. And how was it?
It wasn't good for me. Because it's good for people who sit still, I think.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? But I don't sit still ever for very long. And I sort of radically changed positions. And so I ended up sort of breaking down the chair pretty quickly. It was it got very rickety very quickly because
I you didn't want to go get another one,
I was
right?
not sitting in the prescribed position at all times, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. My theory from having worked as a stereo salesman And it's a bad theory because it's first of all, it's not a very sophisticated theory.
Well, it's also bad because stereo salesman doesn't confer like authority of any kind, really.
That's true. So, but the idea was, because I worked and sold stereos, and because I had cars that had broken electronic windows, I always told myself, you don't want anything in a car that can break more. So for years, I would not want electric windows, or I would try to avoid. My theory is, if there's like Sleep Number beds, they have to be horrible. Yeah. They have to be horrible because they're trying to sell you that you need electronics somehow, that this electronics is going to help your sleeping. And almost always those things don't work eventually. And that was a terrible theory. It's not even it's a general.
No, but I mean, I don't have quite the rigorous theory that you have in that regard, but I do believe that there like electric windows. That's part of a car, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, it has to be now.
But
yes.
There are certain features where you go, no, that's something that's I don't need, and yet if it broke down, it would create an inconvenience for me. Like yes. if your Sleep Number bed suddenly the air bladder goes dead, like you have to fix it or your bed is fucked.
Right, it's not going to because it's involved in the comfort of your bed.
Yeah, I've slept on a Sleep Number bed, and they're not bad. But what they don't show in the commercials is that when you change the number, you hear like.
Wait. You've had this?
In hotels sometimes.
Oh, okay. Not with the wife.
Not with the wife, no.
Oh, I didn't. I would have liked to have.
So I've never tried to go gabunga on one.
What does that mean? Have you ever tried sex?
I don't know. Use context to get to it.
Have you ever tried sex on them?
No,
sex
just
for the boinga.
Yeah, I've had sex, but not gabunga.
Okay, so here's my point too. I was listening to a Mark Maron because there was a Mark Maron
name drop of you.
Yeah, it was Mark Maron and Maria Bamford. Right. And they said that did I ever talk about this?
You talked about the name drop part. You didn't talk about any content beyond.
Okay. So Mark talks about that he has this refrigerator where it has, I guess it's a fancy refrigerator or whatever. It has an ice maker type of thing. And the ice maker broke. Anyway, he talks about that these Ukrainian brothers came to his house. So it's very funny the way he talks about it. But at one point, the Ukrainian brothers are not yelling, but they can't fix his thing. But they said, do not get anything with all. It goes, if you get one of these refrigerators that has 5 or 6 computers in them, then you'll have things going. What are they even talking about? What else would you have on a computer? In other words, the idea is like the more of those you have, right, the more chances it's going to break, which I think everybody experiences if you've been in an apartment that had something that was supposed to be great in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the crisper drawer that opens up a little bit if you want certain vegetables. That doesn't do anything, Josh. The crisper drawer halfway open.
No.
Right.
Keep it shut.
Right, and I think all of those, I can't think of any other innovations from the 50s that would have been something there.
But there are like my refrigerator has like a water filter and an air filter, and then the computer will tell you when the water filter needs to be changed, or if
well, these Ukrainian guys say
temperature of both the freezer and the thing on upper head, and you can.
And Ukrainian guys will say that's going to break. The Ukrainian guys.
Well, I've had those same Ukrainian guys at my house, and they've been hit or miss. with their diagnoses.
Well, first of all, I know he's engaging in stereotypes, but it still was funny to me.
Last time it was the guy came over. No, but it is, at least in this town. I'm sure it's different in every town, but it is a fucking monopoly on refrigerators with Russian and Ukrainian.
I didn't know that. That's so funny.
Absolutely. I've never had a non-Slavic service call. But like last time when the guy came over, I wasn't here, Allison was here, and he was just like, oh no, your water line, it was the ice maker, and your water line, you got to call a plumber. And I came back and I was like, I think you just need to change the filter, and that was what it was.
Right.
It was fine.
Well, Mark explains how he was told to go change the filter while they were doing it, and he found out he was doing the wrong one because the whole kitchen started to fill with water. Like, well, what are you doing down there? I didn't know. Okay, here's what I was going to say. I didn't know. It's just like anything else where people come over, like my father came over, not my father, but his grandfather came over. You go into businesses that aren't, are more for immigrant type people. Like my grandfather got into become a plumber.
Yeah.
So, I wish I had more information about this.
Well, and there was plenty of vocations where you just couldn't do it as a Jew at some point too.
Right. Like Nazi. You could not be a Nazi in Nazi Germany if you were a Jew.
An extreme example.
Right. And then my grandfather's, this is like the thing that's so sad about everything. My grandfather's business was in Harlem and Jews live. So it's sad when different immigrant groups come at different times and turn on each other.
Yeah.
And that was never good. I mean, I'm not saying it's a historically that can never be fixed, but my grandmother was for a little bit, not all of my grandparents, but my grandmother and grandfather on one side were racist, were prejudiced.
Yeah. You can say racist. You can say racist. Come on.
It's racist. Yeah. Why did I say prejudiced? Yeah, they were racist.
You just wanted to soften it a little bit.
Well, my grandmother would go, I don't like the element. I said this before. I don't want you to go, I don't like the element.
Yeah.
Because she was very smart. They were both very, not extremely well educated, but they were very bright people. They were progressive people.
Right.
So they knew they were victims of prejudice themselves. So they had to keep it on the QT.
Right. I would say my dad's side of the family was probably ahead of schedule progressive wise.
Right.
My mom's side of the family was much more old world.
Yes.
And it wasn't, you heard Schwarza. You definitely heard Schwarza.
Yeah. That's terrible. I mean, that's terrible. I'm just thinking the word is terrible.
And, while it wasn't their bad, but it was heavy doses of othering.
Yeah. Well, I told you this story about the guy who used to be, his name was Albert. He was the sweetest man in the world, but he was just prejudiced and you couldn't stop him. And he would come over the house, he'd work on the house, and I was taking his blood pressure one day. He was like, because he was a very sweet man, but he would go, the name of my landlord was Jamshid Partovi. He was a Jewish person from Iran. Okay.
Yeah.
So one day, just Albert's just like, I'm taking his blood pressure. He goes, "Oh, the Jews are so terrible. The Jews. I said, Albert, I'm Jewish. He goes, yes, from here. You're Jewish from here. They're from Iran. Forget about it. And then it was kind of hard to not see Jamshid's Partovi's horrible personality somehow related to his Iranian Jewish roots. You know what I'm saying.
By the way, as you were speaking, it occurred to me that I gave my father's side of the family too much credit because I know my mom once had to stop my great-grandfather from singing a minstrel song to my baby brother in the crib, to my brother as a baby in the crib, which included the N-word.
Okay, well, that's okay. That's one thing. But I still, every once in a while, sing Mama's Little Baby. Is that a bad song to sing? It seems bad.
Well, it's kind of that. I mean, you can sing the Alan Sherman version. Mama's little baby loves lots of matzah. Mama's little baby loves matzah balls. Mama's little baby loves lots of matzah, lots of matzah balls.
Yeah, because it's also put on the skillet, put on the bread. It just has that feel to it. But I want to be corrected by this, and I also hope within the next minute that I'm out of this fucking conversation where an old white man is very clumsily talking about racism.
Yes, it's always better to tiptoe.
Get out,
tiptoe away.
Yeah, but you know what? Before 10 minutes later, you know what I've found now? Very well spoken is now an expression that is used beyond the racism it used to be used.
Yeah. Like
you could say about anybody who was very well spoken, but in the old days it was a racist thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It was an exception.
Well, it'd be like your credit to your race would be another example of it.
Yes.
So, but you know what I heard about, and I want to know if I talked about this with you before. but I was listening to a podcast or whatever, and the idea of epigenetics. Have you ever heard of epigenetics?
I don't think I have.
Okay, so it's the idea that, like, I've always felt that I lived, I was born 11 years after World War II, after Hitler, and I was always obsessed with Hitler and everything like that. And so I always felt like a weird, like, was I in the camps or weird thing? But what happens now is it can be passed, this kind of fears can be passed through the DNA.
And if there was anyone who could prove it, it's the Jews.
And me, right? I think that's very interesting because I do feel that there are weird things that we have that will later, like, I do think I think deja vu is a real thing, sometimes a real thing. And I just think at some point, because my theory is that we're all, there is no moment other than the present. So somehow the past and the future all fits into the present. So I think it'll be no wonder, like they go, oh, what's epigenetics? It'll be no wonder when they figure out why other things are passed down historically.
But why? I mean, I think it's a specious argument that you were a victim of epigenetics when your parents weren't in Europe during the war. Your parents weren't feeling the fear of the Nazis.
No, but that's mean because they really were. They were in, where were they? They were in Jackson Heights. No,
they weren't they in New York?
During World War II, they were, but there were a lot of programs of the people. But I don't think that's it.
It's not programs.
There's programs. What's your favorite program?
Pogrom.
I got not into it, but Chaotic Neutral today comes back at me. I mean, it's very nice. Says, actually, Andy, I don't like what Alex Wagner either, but valet is absolutely acceptable pronunciation. And then the video that he accompanies it says, the woman says, in North America they say valet. Where do I live? North America. Or he said as a noun. It's not, but that's not true, Josh. In North America, you leave your car at the valet. Nobody in North America, even if they're from. Is that a trick, or can you always do that? Am I doing it?
You're doing something different.
Oh, okay. You should make a series of...
For those at home, I was crossing my eyes with...
How would that help?
Huh? It wasn't voluntary in the bit. Within the context of the bit, it wasn't voluntary. It was driven by boredom.
Do you imagine how much money we could make if we could do the thing that... Who's the guy who does Columbo? Kevin Pollak. How much money he's made because he can individually make his eyeball go.
Yeah. I don't think all that money comes from just the Columbo impression, really. I think
but I'm saying it.
I think that's like the Lifetime channel in his cable package of impressions.
Meanwhile, since it was Orrin Hatch was the one who put his glasses on when he had his glasses already off. I keep doing that now, ever since he died.
Yeah, you're the carrier.
You think you're taking things off, and
the carrier of the business.
Hey, I got to watch Coco Gauff win the U.S. Open, and I just want to say, I don't want to say fuck you. Here's the thing. Spectrum could be caught in the middle of a lot of stuff, right? Oh, it's not their fault because there's an argument between Disney. Okay, here's the deal. Hulu was originally an NBC thing, and then Comcast bought NBC. So now Hulu is 33% owned by Comcast, 67%. So they're trying to fuck with each other to get the price of the buyout better.
Yeah.
So that's why Disney's offering, hey, get Hulu for $1 a year and all this kind of stuff.
All right.
So what was my point about that?
You got to watch tennis.
Yes. Yes. So, but here's the thing. Why can't we can't get over that one hump? The cable that comes in, unless you have you could have satellite, for example.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, we literally can't have it on the condo building. We're not allowed.
Right. Yes, I
but
could.
You could.
Yes, I could.
Okay, so that would be, isn't that the way of getting, of being able to be more in control? But no, now they're in control. DirecTV's in control, or.
Right. They're just, DirecTV is just like a cable provider.
Right. But it seems better that it's not plugged into anything, that you have your own thing right there. You know what I mean? I got my own satellite right there. But it's turned off, it won't work.
Yeah. Or if it's cloudy.
Oh, are they? Is it really bad with the?
I have a lot of trees around my house too, and those can fuck with it too. So.
Well, my parents, I used to be fascinated by. My dad would go up to the roof sometimes.
Yeah, that was just to get some quiet.
We had to move it. I mean, like it was of utmost importance where your roof antenna was back in those days.
Yeah, because
you didn't have cable like you.
No, so no, I would abandon cable. For one of the other things, but for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh, yeah. Okay. They are with Spectrum.
But
here's my argument.
But the fact.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Here's my argument again. I'm not going to make a big deal out of this, but the point is they don't even do their job well. That's what makes me, it's like, it'd be one thing if they had 1 million advertisements and yet their technology was so great and their remote controls were to die for, but they're like an old style Charter Communication or whatever the hell. They're like Store or Cable. They're like Multivision. They're Cablevision. They don't have any technology. They want to nickel and dime you. How much you? What I'm telling you is, I'm paying $200 or over $200 just for the cable.
Yeah.
Are you playing that too?
And internet as well?
No, because I have Verizon. I will not have all my duck. And Verizon doesn't do very well here either. In this area. You have it all through the one thing?
I have various providers for various things. It's not.
I have to go, Josh. They're doing construction on the building.
On your leg.
Have you ever had trouble stopping your leg? I get it going like in a rhythm, right?
I can stop my leg.
Shouldn't Robert Klein have been funnier? Just a little bit funnier. He should have
been funnier. Like by all, yeah, absolutely. Like one,
because he had all of
one solid notch, just one notch.
So, I guess we're in agreement with most of comedy.
And the problem was like he was always a notch short. And then he still lost a notch.
Yes. I think with him it's ego or something. I think he was both like
the time I met him he just like oozed blowhardy all over me.
That's going to get you at some point.
Yeah.
At one point that's going to get to you. I think his show is called The Rooks. There's a show called The Rooks.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the Rookies are. What was the original show in the 90s? The Rookies?
In the 70s, there was The Rookies.
So I thought they brought that back now.
But not. But you're wrong.
That's true. That's true. But you're right that I'm wrong. That's what my grandfather used to love.
That's my surest bet.
My grandfather used to go, "That's right, you're wrong." That was one of his best ones. "That's right, you're wrong."
Yeah.
It didn't even make any sense.
Was he born in the old country, or was he born here?
No, he was. His story was different. His parents came, or everybody came from Eastern Europe.
Sure.
All Jews.
Given.
All Jews.
Right, except for the Sephardim.
But they came earlier, and his family was rich. My grandfather, until the Depression. He lost all of his money, had all of his money in real estate, and lost all of it. So that my grandpa Herman...
If only we had Paxil back then.
What would that have done?
It would have got him out of his depression.
Why do I have to be... Why does Groucho Marx have to be my co-host every goddamn week? Can I have a goddamn serious discussion with you? So he was like a little Lord. I don't know who Lord Fauntleroy was, but he was like a little Lord Fauntleroy. So he was a
spoiled child. Yeah.
Yeah. So we used to always make fun of him because
like a Rothschild.
Well, he insisted on divided plates at his own home.
Like lunch tray divided plates kind of thing? Like compartments? Or
yes, for the food.
Okay. But were they physically compartmentalized, or did you have to do that as the eater?
No, they were divided plates.
Wow.
I don't know if you've ever seen
a plate divided against itself cannot stand, Andy.
So we used to always make. So the thing was like, either he would ask that the food be separated when there wasn't a divided plate,
sure,
or he maybe did it once, and then we made fun of him for the rest of his life. So either one. Andrew, you have 7 unread messages from Spectrum.
Wow. Why did you leave us and buy Hulu?
I didn't leave them. That's the thing that
now you're
got
doing
me
Hulu
angry.
and Spectrum?
Well, how else am I going to get? That's my question to you. How do you get the thing into your house if you don't have a Spectrum or something similar?
Well, you have it's.
I don't want Spectrum anymore.
Right.
I want to get rid of it.
Right. So you have the Hulu over your internet.
The internet comes from Spectrum.
No, you said it comes from Verizon.
No, the internet comes from Spectrum. My cell phones come from Verizon.
Oh, well, yeah. Great.
Well, what if they had Fios? Fios. Can't we? Wouldn't that
or AT&T
solve it?
or AT&T? See,
there's AT&T. They don't have Fios here though. He's a whining boy.
I don't know. You could do the thing with Zach Braff is singing about. You love him so much.
Have you let me go off on that?
I didn't let you so much as had to.
You see the ending of it? Ooh, he's the worst. He's the worst singer. He's the worst actor. I was on a plane with the guy who's with him in that commercial. He was a very nice gentleman, but I'm not letting him off the hook.
Is that Donald Faison, I think, or something?
Yes,
like that?
Something like that. But why do they do that? Is it popular? Are they clamoring? I will only take a type 2 diabetes drug if there's a horrible musical behind it.
I think they're just like, I don't know how do you do a minute about a pill? I think is really what they're really doing. Without showing charts of medicine things happening, without charts and graphs, what do you do for a minute with a pill when you have to spend 25 seconds of that talking about possible side effects?
And then there are people who go, I liked it back in the day when there were no advertising on TV. So you don't want TV now, right? That's all there is, are pill things. What do you want?
If you watch MTV, there's not many pill ads.
There's not even an MTV anymore. Is there?
There is. It's just not for you.
Is it music or is it talk?
I think it's youth culture.
I want to be the next new MTV guy. No.
But that was always the thing with MTV is they were like, we're going to get people at this age bracket. We're not going to try to follow them as they grow out of it. We're not going to try to get them before. We're going to get them in this zone.
Yeah, it's like companies like that are the water company or the gas company. They don't have to have. They are the monopoly in that area.
I used to do a joke about that when I was 16 in my act because the power company was called NSP in Northern States Power in Minnesota. They were doing these big ad campaigns. I'm like, who are they competing with? The sun?
Oh, by the way, I think that the Mets won yesterday, but in general, your team is doing okay.
My team almost swept your team over the weekend.
You stop saying it? I already told you that the Mets beat them on Sunday. I know that they swept them. Is it that hard to sweep them?
They didn't sweep them.
2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Is it that hard to win 2 out of 3 with the Mets? No.
No, apparently not. Because the Twins did it.
I'm still...
But the Twins are leading their division by a fair margin now.
Now it's good.
But it's a division of losers.
Who's the bad? Well, but then Texas was great, and they're terrible now. We're not terrible.
It's cyclical.
Big slump.
It's cyclical, except for the Mets, who always suck.
You almost got a total blank look on your face as you were like, they suck.
Yeah.
Because your heart's not into it.
My heart is not into sports disses, no. But now you can watch your little boys, the Jets.
The Jets tonight.
Yeah.
Aaron
the Jets
Rodgers.
are going to have their way tonight.
For those of you who don't know, he's doing West Side Story as if they were the Jets. When you're a Jet all the way from your first training camp to your injured reserve.
Do you think it was a collusion that made all the 3 secondary teams in New York rhyme?
Tell me how. What do you mean?
Mets, Jets, Nets.
Oh, yes. No. There was collusion.
Yeah.
Definitely collusion. First of all, Who is the genius who wrote the song Meet the Mets? What's next? I lost it there. Plus, we have our injury all season long. Our best pitcher, reliever, has been injured from day one.
Huh.
Isn't that sad?
He's not really your pitcher then, is he? If he hasn't been there.
Edwin Diaz.
Yeah.
Best closer in baseball. So what is on your agenda for this week? Do you have anything exciting planned?
Wow.
Yeah. Do you have any? Don't you have a birthday or an anniversary coming up? No. We have our anniversaries are in May.
Mine's in July.
That's what I was saying. Well, this is every year at this time you get ready for your Rosh Hashanah thing, right?
I do.
Your big Rosh Hashanah.
I do. I harvest apples and go to the hives for the honey.
I just really wish that we did not have the most boring religion. Is that too much to ask? To put little zets in there? First of all, Jews are wonderful entertainers. Al Jolson, and yet the service was so fucking... Actually, my cantor was good. He was good. He was the only reason to go.
Yeah. Our cantor was good, and I still hated it.
Well, our cantor was also a very handsome young man who was a nice man, as opposed to the
mine
rabbi.
was a fucking disgusting ogre who was sang like an angel.
No, I'm just telling you why I liked him. I liked him because he sang young and he looked young.
He sang young?
No, he sang great and looked young. And kind of like a crooner almost.
He was a prayer stylist.
We used to make fun of Rabbi Levin because when he would go, and may God lift you and keep you, it was like almost like saying, God, and may I, because he had that kind of a feel. When he goes, he's raising his arms up. You know, you can raise your arms up and not look like you're the one who's summoning God.
Right. But but when you do, you're supposed to raise your hands up and split like the Kohens. That is how you do a benediction.
Oh, you're lying to me.
No, that's how you do it.
Are you saying Star Trek stole it?
Yes. Yes. Leonard Nimoy was raised an Orthodox Jew, and he created it by and you're not even...
Is that true?
You aren't supposed to look at the Kohens when they're doing that blessing.
Right.
But he peeked, and that's what they were doing, was holding their hands up in that split finger thing.
Oh, so he brought that to Star Trek?
And he brought that to Star Trek, yes.
This is the first time you've been the answer man. I wanted this the whole entire series. How do you know this much about that?
What? That's the dumbest question. How do you know this?
No,
is the
because
dumbest question.
You never told me you were a Star Trek aficionado.
You don't have to be a fucking fanboy to know a fact.
Did you have a USS Enterprise?
Did I what?
Have a USS Enterprise.
As a toy?
A model,
no,
yeah.
I did not. I did have Spock, Kirk, and McCoy frozen ice pop molds.
What are you? Ice pops in the shape of them?
Yes.
Do you still have those?
No, I don't.
Well, neither one of us are Matt Weinhold, right?
No, we're not. I just checked.
Do you know Matt Weinhold?
I know who he is. Is he a Star Trek guy?
Oh, he also has those figurines. He's got has to buy bigger houses all the time to store his various and sundry things. But he comes from it, honestly. He's like the type of guy who go, oh, we're watching Doctor Who tonight. And everybody's like, oh.
Instead of these Trekkie come-latelys. These disingenuous lifelong fans.
I did a cameo for Susan's friend. That was fun.
Did you? How does that happen?
Because Rosie Flores, who's a very good singer, every year we would leave her a message on her answering machine where I would do an impression of like a million different people. I would say, Rosie, it's Fred Schneider of the B-52 is wishing you happy birthday. And it went back so far, it was almost back to the answering machine time period. Mm-hmm. And we would leave her these crazy messages. And she misses it. And so she said, I want to buy a cameo for Andy to do. So that's the easiest thing in the world. We surprised her with it. And we haven't heard from her yet. But we sent it to her yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's all me.
Wait, you surprised her with it, but she bought it?
No. Susan bought it for her.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, right. But she hasn't seen it yet. I think if you're off the cameo, how do you know that there is a cameo? Don't they send you a text or something? Then they send you a text or an email.
I do not know.
But I did some of my better impressions. I do a good Bruce Springsteen wishing her a happy birthday.
Couldn't you have just texted her a little video?
No, but here's the thing why you can't. Because it's actually cute. You know, like, you'd have to take a big down. I'd have to have her downloaded off of a thing. I mean, these are like an 8-minute thing. Right?
Oh, okay.
So it's like, it should be fun.
It was a lot of value for your money.
Well, it's not value. I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing. Because I've been thinking recently whether I should, I go, I'll raise the price. I go, no, I'm not going to raise the price. I like the idea that it's just enough that I don't want you to complain about it if it's not everything you want.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want you to feel like I paid $200 for this fucking asshole who my wife saw on Everybody Loves Raymond, and he's just going, boo, 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 and
yeah, no, I agree. The price point and the psychological things attached to it are very intertwined in a lot of ways.
Now, if you haven't had more calls from Cleese or follow-ups from Cleese?
No, we're working on it.
Oh. You can't talk about it. These things are not good to talk about.
It's not my favorite thing to do.
No, it's not. Because the alternative is, fingers crossed, I'm going to marry John Cleese.
In a perfect world, I wouldn't have even brought up the dinner.
But it was a good thing to bring up.
But I just couldn't. I couldn't sit on that kind of brag.
Remember when you once told me, pretend you've been somewhere? Remember I was like excited?
Act like you've been there before?
Yeah, act like you've been there before. Yeah. That was so good. That's good advice. It's a good snap out of it advice for somebody.
I think I was following. I think at my actual dinner, I was following that advice by not being a fanboy, really just like being. I'm another comic figure having dinner with .
Do you think that people like here's my thing, like Robin Williams, he has to have a voice in his head saying, I know he's dead, but he passed away. Sure. But a voice in his head going, don't go too far. These people, that's what I have in my thing is like, don't be like Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Don't dominate. I guess it's because I have a tendency to dominate, that I could warn myself. But how come Robin Williams didn't have that editor in his head? Like, Robin, let somebody else talk.
But I think when you're that big a star, not to denigrate your place in the pantheon, I think people want it. I think
yes, they do.
I think he probably found himself in probably more situations where he would rather have not done it, but he felt like people wanted it.
Yeah, I guess this depends on what you like. So, for example,
But I think the other answer is he was pathological.
He was pathological.
He was a pathologically needy guy. It's pretty clear.
I think there's a difference when everybody wanted Albert Brooks to do a bit. Because I told you that time about where Robert Reiner says that he had done a bit in front of everybody and they were laughing hilariously and he left and he had to call and say, I left my wallet there. Because he didn't want to come back.
Because he got out, right.
He's very funny.
He is.
He's very funny. I was trying to think of people. Everyone's older now. So I keep thinking, when I talk to people who are 10 years older than me, Jonathan Katz and stuff like that, I keep thinking they should be happy they're only 76. But then when I talk to someone in their 80s, they seem okay. So when is it where you go, you know what? For real, it's over for me.
I think there's a certain. I don't know where the cutoff line is, but probably at about 70, it really just goes case by case.
Why do you use
it
70?
really has so much to do with how you've lived, what you know. The fact that you walk every day bodes very well, I think, for you.
I think it does bode very well.
Just in terms of just movement and keeping your body going.
Yeah, in fact, I did a thing with my doctor, and she's the assistant or the nurse about my blood pressure, and she was saying, "Well, do you do any inclines?" And I said, "No." She goes, "Well, you could bring small weights, but I'm not going to do that. But I'll do weights at home. Do you do weights at home?
Yeah,
like just dumbbells?
I can wait up to 8 hours for no reason at all. Am I right?" Paul Williams.
That's the only thing I don't do.
Paul Williams. I've been working with weights. I can wait up to 8 hours now for no reason at all.
But that's when I used to do martial arts. I had that side covered, where you would do stuff with lifts and things. So you have to do that on your own now. I find that harder to do.
I find it impossible. That's why I go to a trainer twice a week. And
do you do weights there?
I do. Yeah, I do all sorts of resistance things. But
then you're covered.
But I can't keep any kind of commitment to myself.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
It's just hard.
Because I'm an undisciplined fuck is really how I see it. I mean, that's really that's the category I put it into. There's probably a different diagnosis, but
do you ever have a problem with that voice?
I am so adept at disappointing myself that it doesn't leave a scar anymore.
Do you ever say to yourself, though, the voice in your head needs to be nicer?
I do, and I sometimes will actually heed that, but but I tend to be pretty. I don't berate myself like in real life. I go with one. I just get one good.
It's such an interesting thing because, for example, you're a dog owner and you have to go, get in here, get over there, do this. Because otherwise the dog is not going to have a life. It needs guidance.
Right.
Without being too... Okay.
But I also believe that dogs seek leadership. That's part of their nature.
Well, right. It's part of the dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, unless I'm getting it wrong. What would they say?
But it's pretty, my interaction with my dogs is pretty low key. Like they know, it's not, it's very rarely yelling at them to do something.
But if you go with my sister's philosophy about people, my sister said that, we hated when she became an educator. She was saying kids love discipline. They love to have things repeated and stuff like that. So so in other words, if you didn't feed your dog, if you didn't have this, they would be crazed.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that you don't have to yell at them, it means that the relationship between you and the dog isn't exactly the situation where it would be. You can't not stop them from running out of the house into the street because they're dogs.
Well, no, you can. You can by training them. That's not an acceptable behavior.
Yes, but the training of them is not a cruel thing. And by the time it's there, and at the end of their life, when they're on their doggy deathbed, they will go, "Thank God I had a loving person who provided for me."
That's what, we just had a dog on his doggy deathbed and that's what we hoped he felt.
Yeah. That's so nice. And every week I go, oh my God. Because here's one of the things I love about doggies. Even the small doggies, when they walk, they don't just walk. They're like, I'm going to do bang, back the ball. They all have it's like, it looks like they're happier.
Yeah.
I think dogs are more in tune with what's happening with them. But I don't like the part where you're just sniffing it.
I think dogs live in the now.
That's true.
They live in the moment.
Cats are like, not so much.
No, exactly.
I love cats too,
but cats aren't taking your feelings into consideration generally. Whereas dogs almost always are in some way.
So when cats learn to use the litter box, that's just a learned thing. That has nothing to. Yeah,
they're not doing it for your convenience. They're not.
Right, it's good. Works for them.
Yes,
it's a nice sandy thing.
Yeah,
and they're finicky anyway, so they probably don't want their pee all over the place.
Right.
Every once in a while, how they go, the world's most handsome man or whatever. I always feel like they go, and now the world's stupidest. Yes, Andy. Like you have to stop the dog from going out. Yes, Andy. Yes. Yes. I don't think, like, I was watching a show and a woman wanted to have a adoption, but she wanted to adopt the kid. She had a kid, but she wanted to adopt the kid after, like at 3 or 4, after their house
broken. Toilet trained.
I just don't think I could do very well with toilet training.
No, but I think there's a biological, override when it's your child.
That's so good that you said, but it's still too late now. It's too late now because Susan says even if she could conceive, she wouldn't want to right now.
Well, I mean, who wants to conceive in their mid-60s, really?
I thought she did. That's why it was,
Honey.
That's why, hence the hormones. Oh, Josh, we got through an hour, even though... Are you going to hang up now?
Can I?
No, I thought you were gearing up for it, right?
Today I'd like your permission.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you.
How do you change your mind so quickly? How can you turn on a dime? Though I've come to expect it, I get shocked every time. It's a long way to happy, you just don't have the time. How did you get wound so tightly? Is it some kind of disease? When I offer to help you, it's like I'm speaking Chinese. It's a long way to happy, so get off of your knees. There's a whole lot of roads there, but you're not in your car. There's a whole lot of ways there, but you can't get there from where you are. How do you look in the mirror? Do you like who you see? Well, if you wish you were different, I would tend to agree. It's a long way to happy, and you can't ride with me. It's a long way to happy, and you can't ride with me.
I'm sorry about that.
Hi.
I don't think the first one went through. That happened.
No, it went through. I just wasn't looking.
Oh.
I wasn't looking for it before 10.
Oh, you absolute miserable cur.
Wow.
You're a cur. You're a miserable cur.
Have you been reading Tolkien? What?
That's all I have is cur. You'd think I'd have a... I got corrected today by Chaotic Neutral, who corrects me every day, but I actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was... well, first of all, you're not interested in this, but I found out what A Spaniard in the Works was based on. You may not even know what A Spaniard in the Works is. It was John Lennon's second book after In His Own Right.
Oh, okay.
And I loved his books when I was a kid. My sister had them. And now I find out it was based on a spanner in the works. And a spanner is someone who's pretty stupid and especially clumsy with language.
So basically he did 2 book titles based on puns?
No, the whole thing is puns. Every page is puns. That's all he does. I loved it when I was a kid because he also would do these little drawings too. I loved his drawings too. So
nothing like a rock star doing dad humor.
Well, the thing was, he definitely went for it because they offered it to him. You know, he said he drank like a thing of whiskey every night to get through the project.
Yeah.
But I thought that was very. I was very interested to finally find. Oh God, my own. You know what? Have you ever felt that your own pomposity? You can feel it weighing you down.
I do. I have felt that. Yes. Sadly, after others in the room had felt it.
Is pompous being? You don't. I am so good. Let me tell you how that is.
No, pompous is part of the blowhardy spectrum.
The blow. Now, you're lucky I'm here today.
I feel that
right now.
I feel lucky.
Do you know why?
It's self-evident.
No, because I was sick.
Oh.
I got my RSV shot. And I got my flu shot.
And you're just primed to get the new
I'm ready
COVID.
for the COVID booster, but nobody usually has reaction to the flu shot. I got like 100-degree fever. And at 9:00 this morning, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to. I knew I'd make it, but I had to take two. I love what's the one that's like it's got aspirin in it and Excedrin. I love the Excedrin.
You like the PE, which has no effect. That's your thing.
It's so funny that you say that. I always thought that didn't have an effect before years when I took it. I thought as soon as they made Sudafed harder to get, the actual Sudafed.
No, I always knew that the one that you had to go be inconvenienced for was going to be the good one.
Oh, yeah. So, what was I going to say? So I'm there. I got it at Pavilions. I'm not bragging. I've shopped there.
I see.
And then,
did you get the generic cheap flu shot, or did you get the name brand?
Well,
don't go with the store brand. Don't go with the store brand flu shot.
Well, I said to her, the bargain brand is fine for me. I said to her that I got sick the other times, and this is what they say all the time. People in the medical, well, she's not in the medical field, but they always say this.
I don't care. Oh no, sorry. What did they say?
No, they didn't say it. She goes, and if you feel bad, take a little Tylenol later. Why are people constantly pushing a drug that has no effect on me, that does nothing for me? I don't feel it. The only danger with Tylenol is you can overdose on it. Why are they saying that to me? Every time it's Tylenol. Do they have a big pharma have a deal with acetaminophen?
Well, they sell it. They're at the store.
Yeah, but you think it's like what? Are people allergic to add?
No, I just think it's just kind of the most benign of the over the counter.
Take a little Tylenol.
No one's it's like a normal dose of acetaminophen hurts very few people, but too
that's
much
true.
Ibuprofen will hurt your kidneys, and the aspirin.
But too much acetaminophen will kill you.
Sure, but it's like a 3,000 milligram dose, which you're going to have to take a fuck ton over the counter.
Well, I used to take. When I was in England, I was taking crazy this thing because I thought it worked. Lemsip. Oh, this is the greatest thing in the world. It's Lemsip.
Yeah.
All it was fucking acetaminophen, jam packed with acetaminophen.
Yeah.
I could have killed myself. Stop it.
Wow.
What an idiot. I blame you for these kind of digressions.
Well, okay.
Someone has to take the fall.
Well, it makes me feel better when I stop them in their tracks. So,
well, I want to tell you something. It's like Christmas for me now. I don't know how you feel about it. The Bill Maher. I don't think there's a person in this country who doesn't hate his guts now. That is so good.
Yeah.
For years, people were like, I don't understand. He's a funny guy. I saw him once and he did a joke. And now it's over for him as, not over for him because there's a lot of money in right-wing bullshit.
Right.
But that's what his show is now. His show has no writer. Did we talk about this? Like, why would Drew Barrymore do this? Did we talk about it already?
No.
Why would you, I don't understand. It's so selfish and a weird, does Drew Barrymore really need the money? Or is it so important that everyone see her show every day?
Well, Drew Barrymore would tell you that there's a big whole staff that she is supporting.
Yeah, that's what Bill Maher said, too.
Right. And Bill Maher said it way more snotty than Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
He said,
I'm sorry.
It's not just the writers and fans who have problems. He's literally spitting in the face. He's literally spitting in the face of two unions as he goes back to work.
Do you get the feeling that he likes his writers, like he keeps saying? I think he hates his writers.
I don't know. Who knows? If you've been a writer on his show for a long time, I'm sure
you've got to be beaten down.
You're probably dead inside, yeah.
Yeah, or just cranking it out. Is fuck face here? Here's my stuff. I'm out of here.
But I imagine a kind of atmosphere where you're told you're stupid if he doesn't like the joke.
Oh, but also the idea that he actually believes that his show is important. It has to be out there. And he pitched again. I'm the only one who's doing this where, like I'm both. He basically says I'm both siding. I'm the only one who looks at both sides.
Have you watched CNN?
No, but he's on CNN.
Yeah, well, he was on Ari Melber's show too, which was annoying.
I know. I got very upset. Did I tell you Ari wrote back to me?
No.
Oh. Should I tell you what he wrote?
You can tell me the gist of it if you'd like.
Oh, well, it was only a 1-second thing.
All right.
It's like, am I going to be able to stop that?
Let's turn it into a 40-second thing by you looking it up.
Okay. So he goes, I had written the thing about how it's like a slap. I've been a huge fan of his show, which is true. I love his show. Uh-huh. And I think it's a huge slap in the face of his fans that he would have this hack on there. Uh-huh. And it's very disappointing. So he DM'd me.
Uh-huh. Oh.
He DM'd me. Always appreciate your feedback and perspective, man. And hope you are well, by the way.
Huh.
I thought
that's very disarming, isn't it? You aren't mad at him anymore, are you?
You think it's a Jimmy Fallon thing, right? You think it's like a Jimmy Fallon thing?
I think there is I think he's a star fucker in every way.
Don't say that. He listens to the show. No, God damn it. Oh my God. He listens to the show because he likes rap music, hip hop, and he likes our show.
Jewiness. I like Ari Melber, and unlike you.
But he's a little bit of a politician.
He's a total politician, and he likes show business. He just really likes show business a lot.
Is that why he has Mavericks? Yes, the show Mavericks on his own show?
But, all that's neither here nor there, nor do I have a huge problem with him having Bill Maher on, but I'd like him to get in Bill Maher's face a little bit more instead of going...
Yeah, well, I think I didn't even see it because I couldn't see it, but that's the part that's...
No, I mean, he didn't Jimmy Fallon him, but frankly, I wasn't paying full attention, I'll be honest, too.
Everyone hated it, so it's like everyone who watched his show, it was a mountain of hate.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Maher is just like the logo for sneering.
Do you like his slick back Club Random look better than you like his Club Random look is so sleazy. He's like oozing oil out of his
I love how him smoking a joint on the Club Random thing just proves to you how he smokes a joint before the show on the other stuff.
He must, right?
He's the same. Yes, he does.
And so then
at least that's his part of his legend.
Then he goes,
the other part of his legend is he used to masturbate before shows.
Now they were asking online about this, and I happened to know what I heard. What I heard was it was someone on his staff who hated his guts. Like I think a makeup person who spread that rumor because she hated him. Right. That's what I heard. I think that would be great.
Any of that could be true to me. Both, it's very believable that he did. It's very believable that someone hated him and started a rumor.
Yeah. But, God, I love to see people go after him. Oh, it's so nice.
It's just he's morphed into this brand of, like I said, it's just perma-sneer,
Isn't Jimmy Fallon becoming more hated by his staff, or there was a?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a sort of. It feels. I don't know. It makes me sound like an old dick, but like a lot of that story just kind of smacks to me of young whiny little bitches.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know. Well, I think but not
bitches, not a gender specific bitch.
Not gender specific.
Yeah, I just mean it does feel kind of like a generational, like, why isn't everybody nice to me all the time kind of a thing. Yeah,
but the thing that Amy Poehler said, where he was like, "Don't do that," or did you read that part?
No,
don't do that. It was like he didn't want her talking blue. And she got very upset about it. So I think he's got to be kind of an asshole. But he's an asshole always. He was the nice guy asshole. He's a little bit like Leno.
Well, Leno, I think, was always good to his staff. I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, I was around his show for a couple of years, and I got the impression that, he might have been the exception to these rules.
Yeah, but he did come back during the last strike without his writers.
I'm not saying everybody's a
Why are you defending
human
him?
being. I'm just saying what I've observed, But I think,
we need the other side.
I think I might have been Bill Carter who wrote about this the other day, but it is true, is that especially talk show hosts like, it's a tough gig. It really is one. It's very much like being a showrunner in that there's like people coming up to you every 3 seconds with a question of what do you want? What do you want to do? What do you know?
Right.
And you're the one who has to pick the jokes, and you do get frustrated when you don't have good ones, you know, and obviously I know this gig because I've done it. It does sort of lend itself to moodiness for the host. But the fact that he lost a showrunner a year tells you that he's not fun to work with pretty much.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But the thing of people feeling like lower people on the totem pole being told you can be replaced or having the feeling that you should feel lucky to be here is not a new phenomenon in show business. You know what I mean?
You can't. I think it's hard to respect him if you're on the show because he's not funny. He's not. So I think he's frustrated when if he doesn't like something, he can't fix it. Right, so he's just like,
I mean, I think it's you know, but I mean, Letterman was as big a dick as anybody in the game.
Don't say these things to me.
Just saying, you know,
he wasn't like Jimmy Fallon.
Yes, he was. He threw shit and pouted and made people feel like they couldn't talk to him.
You do this. You go after David Letterman, my hero. He's my hero.
I know. I'm just trying.
He listens to the show. Goddamn, he listens to the show.
The only one I feel like might be a decent boss is Kimmel, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
But you know, and Lorne Michaels creates these toxic environments.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he does a nice job.
No, I mean, you know, Saturday Night Live is one of the great Lord of the Flies of the television history.
What is Lord of the Flies? Can you please tell me what that is? Because I don't know what it is.
A bunch of boys get trapped on an island and really get primitive. Start getting real primitive.
And who wrote it? Who wrote it?
Boy. You fucking got me there.
Okay, but it is a guy I would recognize the name, right?
Yeah, it's part of the canon of.
Did you like it? Did you ever read it?
I did read it.
And was it good?
It's I mean, it's a good story.
But it's not about flies?
It's not about flies, no.
God damn it.
There's a movie you could watch.
How's everything going in doggy land between Lucky and Cody?
Everything is going good. Everything is Cody.
Would you like Cody to be more warm towards you?
He's very warm towards me now.
That's good.
He loves the shit out of me.
But does he love Allison more than you?
No. I think it's pretty.
Sorry, Allison.
It's pretty well spread out. He's.
Sorry, Allison. Why does everybody has to be on that?
I had heard tale that the Chihuahuas could be one person dogs, but that hasn't been the case. He has this little thing like where he's like freaky deaky. Like he sleeps under covers at night. Not like we have like a blanket on top of the blanket that he sleeps between the two. But if he gets jostled or woken suddenly, he gets into this like vicious. Is
that true?
Yeah.
Is that scary?
It is scary. Yeah. It's like having
What do you do about that?
Well, now we like kick him out of the room.
But he could bite from that.
Yeah,
right?
he can, and has actually. It's a bad thing, but it's less and less frequent now.
You know, I had a thing when I was a child that was very upsetting to me at the time. When we had the dog Laddie, and he bit my father, and then Laddie wasn't around anymore, and they told me he went out to a nice house somewhere.
Yeah,
but I don't.
They didn't go with the farm upstate.
They did something like that, a farm upstate, but I don't think that's what happened to Laddie. It makes me a little sad.
Yeah.
But should my father have done that? I guess he bit my father hard a couple of times. He wasn't good with dogs either. Like, he wasn't good with them. I mean, he loved animals, but he wasn't, he had so much stuff to do, work, and he'd come home, and then all of a sudden the dog bit him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it takes it takes some time and patience to make dogs change.
But, right, so my question to you is it something that really is to worry about, or just a little thing that can happen with any dog?
Well, it is a thing that happens with other dogs, that they have like sudden wake syndrome or whatever.
Right. Oh, that's what it is, maybe, right?
It's it's something like that, and sometimes it's just like it happens very quickly, and sometimes he just gets very worked up, and
what do you do?
And he eventually snaps out of it. I lift up the blanket high enough so that it's it's a barrier.
Oh, I see. Right.
And fortunately, Lucky has now started to intervene a little more, and he's kind of more afraid of Lucky than us in those situations. So
wow.
And then we kick him out for 10 minutes or something.
You know what dogs I love when I see them walking? Is these dogs that after they go.
But as soon as he snaps out of it, he's like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's what he's going to say at the trial.
Yeah.
But these dogs that after they go to the after they go to the bathroom, take a bath, they go crazy with their back legs trying to get it away from them. It's a species of dog. They like kick their shit away from them.
Yeah, most dogs will do that. It's like they're covering it with dirt.
Oh, because right. I thought that was just one. I mean, I
think they're covering it with dirt so other animals won't smell that they're in the area, kind of a thing. I think it's that kind of an instinct.
It's very complex.
I don't think it's tidying.
Well, that's a lot of drama you have going there. A lot of drama.
Mostly it's not drama, which is the nice thing. And they're good when people come into the house to do stuff. They're very good. I mean, they're a pretty easy pair for the most part. It's still weird not to have Clyde around. You know, we had the primary pair of Clyde and Lucky for a decade, so it was.
Yeah.
So it's still a little jarring. But
now, what is Cujo? Is Cujo a movie?
Cujo was a Stephen King novel that also a movie. Yes.
And the dog goes crazy.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make people not want to have dogs after that? Or don't pick on the dog, Stephen King.
I don't think one book can kill off humanity's love of dogs. No.
But I had that thing with me and Al Lubell were in Knoxville, Tennessee at the Funny Bone. Horrible gig. And we were trapped in the basement because the dog wouldn't let us up the stairs and it looked like he was going to kill us. We had to call the club owner, 2 Jews calling the club owner. The doggy's mean.
Yeah. What did they like lock up for the night and you guys are still in the basement and they brought
I think he must have been at the club or something like that because we're staying in his fucking house.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha. It was the dog at his house.
The other thing, I think I've told you this story, and this was very frightening to me. I got chased by I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm jogging. I got chased by a group of dogs. There's no fences. It's like runner beware.
Yeah.
So I ran and I fell down, and then they stopped. They stopped for a second, and then their owner came and go, all right, fellas, come over here. Okay. All right, fellas. That could have gone a different way, right?
It could have.
Torn limb from limb.
Those southern Jew hounds can really...
I'm just saying I've been through things. You don't think I've been through things, but I have.
I know you've been through things. I think anyone who meets you goes, ooh, this guy's been through some stuff.
Right, but not in the way you're saying. Any other business to cover? I think we're really fucking knocking it out of the park.
You feel that way? All right, good.
Where would you like to talk? Do you have anything else to say?
No, not really, except for...
It's time for questions. What do you want to know? We love your questions so much. It's half our show. Half our show.
Weed maps is my first one, but that's not what it is.
That's good. At least the algorithm is getting closer.
That's right. How'd they know that about me? Pickle says, who knows what the future holds? Whoever says they know is lying. Oh, man, Pickles is... don't you feel Pickles is...
reading fortune cookies is what I feel like, really.
Dan Marsh says, hey, guys, when did it become obvious that the end of the 80s comedy boom was coming? How much did it affect your work? And how long did it take for comedians who had been riding high to either change their plan or wash out from comedy?
Well, first of all, we didn't call it the 80s comedy boom at the time. And it wasn't until the 90s that it was really dying.
That it imploded.
Yeah. And it happened, I think there was different phases. There was, the very obvious phase of clubs closing.
Right.
And certainly like those, the sort of transition from comedy night to karaoke night in bars and stuff.
Yes.
And you could also see it with the amount of, for a time there was like so much stand up on basic cable, and you could see those shows falling away. And then the final phase, I think, was when like legit proper showbiz, when the model of Cosby, Roseanne, Tim Allen, George Lopez, Drew Carey, like when those kind of ran their course of stand up to sitcom.
Yes.
Then the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow dried up a little bit too.
Right. And also, I was going to say that the people who that the club. Okay. Also, that the club owners were more like urban cowboy people. They were. It didn't matter whether it was a mechanical bull or whether it be stand up. So a lot of them just, not all of them, but great numbers of them had no respect for the thing and just tried to make money out of it. I think that got old, of people not, certainly people with a sense of humor don't want to go back to a club where.
Yeah. And I mean, stand up was there replacing the top 40 bands that were there the decade before.
Yeah.
It was in those same bars.
I think it's more like we should have just been happy for whenever it happened, because it's like my whole life I've had 3 comic shows have been a staple of our society. Open, middle, and headliner. I mean, goes back to the 18th century. It was like a weird thing. But then the things that are kind of hard to put together on them is that it is still kind of people getting to see stand up too is part of the thing that hadn't seen stand up before. There was something exciting about
it. Was, and I think, and it wasn't the public being fickle. It was the public going, okay, this is turned to generic shit.
Right.
The public got bored, and rightfully bored. And I think when stand up took a step back and recalibrated what it was,
yes,
we've seen this new boom that's happened because it became interesting again.
Right.
But those same things that make it interesting are also making it boring over time too. When the amount of sameness, even when it's intimate and shocking.
Yeah.
There is a sameness to the intimacy and shockingness.
Yeah. It's all got to go through cycles and things like that.
But there's certainly, there's way more comics who can sell out a 2,500 or a 5,000 seat theater now than there ever were at the height of the boom. Right.
But also, club owners didn't know, and many people didn't know, that hacks were hacks when they first got popular. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this guy's killing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they heard. And as a businessman, there's something to that. If you're not a patron of the arts, if you're a bar owner, you're going to go either, there's 2 things that make a good headliner. One is he sells tickets, or 2, he makes people leave really happy and come back next time and buy tickets,
Yeah.
Or they sell a shit ton of drinks, or they're one of those acts, who's constantly raising
send me
his
up a
glass.
shot.
Yeah. And and there was, that's a niche, and that was a legit niche for guys who are, some of whom are still out there at age 70 or whatever,
But it doesn't make me feel happy or like I think I won, but I kind of knew that those people weren't going to be, for every Carrot Top there were 20, not to pick on him, but for everybody who would make it as a prop comic, there would be so many people who wouldn't make it as a prop comic, So.
Well, and you could say that's because Carrot Top was better than them.
That's true. You could say that.
How many great undiscovered prop comics can you name?
The Amazing Wid.
Huh?
The Amazing Wid. Was good.
Don't
From Philadelphia.
Never saw him.
I like that. Take it away, man. I'm so tired from reading. I mean,
Chaotic Neutral says, "Hey guys, I went to an open mic and 3 of the comics used this structure. I'm what you call a blank thing I made up. You know what a thing I made up is, right? Thing I made up is a joke I couldn't find a better premise for. So I'm what you call a blank. You know what a blank is. A blank is a thing you can blah, 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 blah."
I think the hackiness is just endemic in stand-up. And young comics can outgrow it.
Absolutely. I mean, you just, because it is a joke structure is why there's 3 comics doing it, because they can mad lib their way. That's what they've seen other people do. But once you start getting laughs, you start knowing what's actually funny about yourself, and you start writing to that if you're good.
I'm what you call a pothead. You know what a pothead is, right? A pothead is someone... I guess you need the joke. You still do need the joke, ultimately.
The other day, I had a wish sandwich. You know what a wish sandwich is. A wish sandwich is where you have 2 slices of bread and you wish you had some meat. Bow, bow, bow. Hey, baba, hit about it, hit about it. Hey, baba, hubba, 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 hubba.
Hey, baba, hubba, hubba. You passed right over Richard Cole's question. Do you not have it?
No, I didn't. It's next in my list.
Okay, go ahead.
Richard Cole says, something that happened during my break from smoking weed is I remember my dreams. I find that when I don't smoke weed, that's the first thing that you do notice is I don't know if it's the vividness or just the retaining of them, but frankly, I prefer dreamless sleep.
The light herder is back to say, just heard your bafflement over my comment on the last show. It was a reference to the My Favorite Year scene where Downing tells the joke wrong. I was sure Josh would get this, but then the TS show I listened to mentioning this movie was probably pretty old. Yeah, I didn't get what he was doing. Did you?
I didn't. I should have, but it was, but yeah, sometimes the synapses just don't fire right. And he continues, and the joke is supposed to be like this. A guy walks into a psychiatrist's office with a duck on his head. Psychiatrist says, can I help you? And the duck says, yeah, can you get this guy off my ass?
Which is a very good joke. You know what joke I like? George Wallace. I've heard him do this joke. Yeah. Black guy, a Jewish guy, a priest walking to a bar, and the bartender says, all you get the fuck out of here. How was that joke?
Tree Pahara says, the ground is still shaking from Josh's huge name drop last week.
Oh, yeah. Well, they don't know what followed up. They don't know that you went as 2 couples into the Adirondacks with John Cleese and his current wife. Right. That was a huge name drop.
It was a big name drop.
Nobody could say no to that.
Yeah.
BD West says, guys, can we go back to mocking Howie Mandel, or will there be future collaborations? Answer, deal, no deal, or Howie Mandel's animals doing things. I just think that Howie's a good friend now. I don't want to. You don't go after your friends, Josh.
He was terribly pleasant to me, I have to say.
Yes.
So I can't go back with any real zing.
You could not say that there's nothing likable about Howie. I think he has a lot of things that are actually likable about him.
Well, and I think that unlike Bill Maher, who's of the same vintage, Howie Mandel isn't clawing at relevance. The way Bill Maher is. Howie Mandel is like, I'm a likable TV personality with a lot of problems.
Yeah, and I think the way that commercial he has of talking about OCD is a good commercial. I mean, I know you got paid for it, but it's still good.
Yeah. So
because he talks about being so embarrassed when he was on the Howard Stern show that he was like so scared.
Right.
And he didn't want them to put the show out. And why don't you read Johnny Whoops's joke?
All right. Johnny Whoop says, when are you guys coming back producing new fresh material? Yes, I've heard the last 2 shows. Zing!
I think that's a good zing. You can't, when someone zings you, you have to give it up.
Tree Pahara is back to say thank you to all the spiralers and hosts that generously gave to help my brother get a glass eye. You guys are the best. We are only 500 away to make 5,000.
I didn't even know. Did you know about this?
I did. Yes.
Well, I have to contribute.
Yeah.
Then, right?
Maybe $500.
Shut up. Well, now he's thinking. I think it's 500.
Let me go to Tweet's thing and see. It's at GoFundMe.
Okay.
The name of the campaign is My Brother Needs a False Eye. That's pretty easy to remember.
My brother needs a false eye.
That's right. And they're at 4,406 out of 5,000 as of this
Okay,
reading.
I'll my brother. Did you give?
I gave.
Did you something significant?
Here, I'll tell you what I gave. In fact, and then my wife gave separately. So we, as a family, what did I give? think I was pretty good here. Yeah, $200.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're trying to one-up me.
Well, you asked. I was going to quietly go, yes, I gave. And you went, how much did you give? Because you are fucking obsessed with money like...
One Jew just taking another Jew down.
But now now I'll use it as a hopefully an inspiring example to both you and our listeners to help get the guy an eye. And if we go over, they'll give him lashes. They'll throw in lashes.
Well, first of all, that's only for the eyeball. It doesn't cover the housing. Huh?
Huh?
What does Stephen Elton Yates says? But Andy, wait a second. But Andy, the whole team took anti-Achilles tendon tear vaccines before the season. How could? Oh, right. That's a very. I started watching the Jets thing.
You started watching the Jet? What the
Hard Knocks? I never seen. Yeah. And it's fun to watch. I mean, it's like he's a entertaining guy.
Yeah, no, he was very charming on it. And
he's very charming.
And you could tell that his teammates worshipped him, and he took that well. You know, he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wore it well.
And I'm looking forward to the Zach Wilson. Why not, right?
Sure. He had such success in the past.
Yes. This is like every Jets fan. I think we have a good shot at it.
That was pretty freaky deaky when he went down after 3 plays. But
it looked to me like Sonny Liston taking a fall on that second fight. It didn't look like. Did you see something like snap? It must have. I just didn't see it.
But I was like, nothing happened. Therefore, it's probably his Achilles.
Right, because he just sat right back down.
Yeah, he just knew.
That's got to be painful too, right?
I think it is. Yeah.
He said the operation went very well.
That's good.
He had it done by a Greek doctor. Hit music since What is this?
Each hit music since 1972, which is probably things he does, says, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Have you seen Zero Gravity, Josh? Your thoughts would be of interest. Is that the name of a movie?
It is the name of a doc series on Amazon Prime about Wayne Shorter.
Ooh, is he a runner?
No, he's a jazz saxophone legend.
Oh, and how was it?
It was, I like Wayne Shorter a lot, so I was drawn to it in that way. It was a 3-episode thing. Definitely suffered from some doc stretching. The 3rd episode was really kind of like, well, we still have all these good quotes about Wayne from people. So let's just run those in succession. It wasn't quite that bad, but
yeah,
it was bad doc stretching. And stylistically, it was like it couldn't quite decide what it was doing visually. It couldn't decide, they were like split between a few motifs. But I would say, 70% of it is worth watching, and then a lot of it is sort of padding.
The doc
but you got to see a lot of him playing, and he was
cool.
he was a bebop legend, and then he founded Weather Report.
Oh, okay, yes.
And
he died, right?
He just died this year. Yeah.
Wow.
I saw him play with Herbie Hancock. He and Herbie Hancock once. And he was, as much as I really liked him, he was too cerebral for my limited attention span a lot of the time, because I just can't focus enough to appreciate some of it.
To appreciate bebop in general?
No, bebop I can, but when he got into more
like Miles Davis
compositional, there's a point where his genius is much more apparent to people who are fully educated musically.
Right, right.
And where I become a simpleton.
Well, I know a lot of jazz because I know that song Frankenstein. Bum 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 bum. That's jazz, right? Bum 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 ba-doodly doodly. Ba-doodly doodly doo.
It's the doodly part that makes the jazz.
Doodly doodly doo.
B.D. West says, guys, I follow about 1,000 comedians and no one cranks out one-liners better than our own J. Elvis Weinstein. I miss the frequency of them. And then he quotes me saying, I've been doing less tweeting and more just having a funny thought and chuckling to myself.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's
I really have been like some days I don't post at all on anything.
If you post a good joke, you're not going to get anything usually.
You know,
not a lot.
Not much on Twitter anymore because
Yeah.
I don't, it doesn't.
Maybe
well, first of all, the people who would have usually retweeted them back in the day aren't there anymore.
Yes.
And secondly, I don't pay admission to the site, so it doesn't get attention in the way it might have once before.
Did you see that Elon? I'm kind of want to get the audiobook for this Elon Musk. Did you see the picture on the cover? It's unbelievable.
Oh, the Isaacson book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he's
it's like Trump's Churchill pose.
Trump does a lot of what I think is Mussolini poses.
I think he thinks it's Churchill, though.
He is like Churchill.
I think he thinks it's Churchill.
God. Mort. Hey, Mort. I know myself. It'll be too late by the time this gets answered. Do you guys have tips for hurricane storm anxiety? I'm in Lee's path. I lived alone in an apartment for 2 years. Now it's really dumb, but I have high anxiety during storms, severe weather. ATM, what does ATM mean? ATM, all I do is freak out. Well, you can't get mad at yourself if you have that, because that's just something you have, right?
Right.
I mean, you could say that you're kind of like a doggy that way, because doggies. Oh, I'm not helping.
Is that really the advice?
Why am I helping?
I'm like a doggy. Shit on the floor.
I know about the bathtub. That's the only thing I really do know. I mean, that's what I've heard.
What do you know about it? You sit in the
bathtub during a hurricane. You take a lovely bath or something. I don't know. What are your hurricane tips? You want to dabble down the jousers?
My hurricane tips are: if you are if they say to evacuate.
God, you're a genius. I'm sorry about that. Came from a part of me that was like long not touched.
I think if it's just a thunderstorm, I think there's lots of questions you can sort of answer yourself.
Yes, don't.
What will happen if? Well, then I'll this. What will happen if this? Or how likely is it this will happen? Not very.
Like, for example, do you wear the tin hat? Those people with the tin hats. They say they're crazy or something. Don't wear that.
At least not on the roof.
On the roof. You said roof.
I did say roof.
I don't think that's right. It's roof.
That's one of those regional things, I guess.
Oh, I remember now. I thought that John Lennon was saying that Walter Riley was such a stupid get, because he pronounces it that way, but it's supposedly get.
Yeah.
And then M. Ledsam said, he says get because it's like saying, oh gosh, instead of, oh my God. I mean, this woman seems like she's from England. That's all I'm saying.
Weird.
It's like she knows what's happening over there. Right, says Bo Diddley crossed the street in a Midwest town. Hey, stop. Four-eyed white boy nearly run me down. I don't know what's going on. You have to take it over, please.
This is in reference to me nearly mowing down Bo Diddley when I was a teenager. Which we know
what Bo Diddley, right?
Huh?
It definitely was Bo Diddley.
Well, I can't swear to it, but
you really think it was?
But he had the Bo Diddley hat on.
And what did he say to you?
He didn't say anything. He was
just gave you a look.
Outside my car. He gave me a look, and not as if like thanks for stopping. It wasn't that look. But it wasn't like a go fuck yourself look either. It was just sort of a, I'm glad this I'm glad this worked out this way.
I don't know his music. Shouldn't I know his music?
Bum ba bum ba bum ba bum 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 ba bum ba bum ba bum bum.
Boom boom.
That's him.
I don't think I've seen him though.
Yes, you have. Yes, you totally have, with the squares guitar and the.
Okay.
How do you not know who Bo Diddley is? That's crazy.
I know who he is, but I'm
crazy.
trying to...
No, you don't. You don't know who he is. You don't know his music or what he looks like.
Walks like Bo Diddley. That someone sings about Bo Diddley. I do know very much about Bo Diddley. Au contraire. Oh, Tommy Chong says, we practically invented this stuff, bro.
No, he's not. That's not, no. Miss Al Boogie says, this is not a question. Last week, Andy randomly mentioned Zach Braff in the movie Garden State. At the moment I was listening to that, I exited and drove into the Garden State, onto the Garden State Parkway. I do not understand why that happened. I rarely drive.
Well,
That happens to me a lot where I'm reading a word and someone on TV says it at the same time.
Yes.
But it's often because I'm reading news and watching the news at the same time.
Yeah, but sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes it's not just sometimes it's a big thing. This is a long question. You got to answer, Christopher. I mean, it's a lot. Oh, my God. It's nuts here.
All right. Christopher Citro says, on Block Island, driving near the beach, and it appears from this map, Block Island is off the coast of Rhode Island and New York off the Long Island, I'm guessing that is. On Block Island, driving near the beach, we watch a deer cross the road. A couple passes us on a tandem bike, and the man yells to the woman, "How the fuck does a deer get on an island?" And so I ask you, dear Andy and Josh, how the fuck does a deer get on an island?
I didn't know they weren't allowed to be on islands. Someone brought it there.
They swim. Deer can actually swim quite well, first of all. So that's possible. It is also possible that on this island where probably rich people live, that someone decided, I'm going to have a petting zoo. But hell, there's a herd of bison on Catalina. So,
what about that Gilligan's Island? He could make a bamboo lie detector, but he couldn't get off the island.
I did coconut cold fusion.
The deckhand says, I don't want to disturb Andy's equilibrium, but Bob Dylan has several times called Jimmy Buffett one of his favorite songwriters, even performing one of the songs. Read about this niche crossover in this blog I wrote. I'd be happy to read that. But I'm not saying anything negative about Jimmy Buffett, and Bob Dylan often will embrace
You kind of said
people.
negative stuff about Jimmy Buffett. You kind of
Well, he stepped on the clop trop. He had with the flip flop. Name me one other song besides Margaritaville. That
Cheeseburger in Paradise. We went through this.
Okay. No, you're right, deckhand. I'm sorry. Tom says.
But I don't know. Just because Bob Dylan likes him, let's be honest. Bob Dylan is now an 82-year-old Jewish man. There has to be. My parents, exactly the same age as Bob Dylan. Obviously, we've mentioned they've crossed paths. So I think of Bob Dylan in terms of having commonality with who my parents are in just that cultural way. And they like Jimmy Buffett too,
Right.
Didn't make them right.
That's right. But I also think that people have different opinions. Josh, can I hire you to write Schadenfootball, a musical about the Jets? Don't count him. Don't count them out.
As much as I'd love to gloat about this Jets thing, they're 1-0. The Vikings are now 0-2.
Oh, how was that a sad? Are you into the Vikings or more than the Twins? Right.
I'm into the Vikings A, more than other football teams, and B, more than the Twins probably.
Yeah. And it doesn't look good this year.
Well, they're 0-2.
Who'd they play Thursday? I missed the game.
They played the Eagles last night on Amazon.
And are the Eagles? They won the Super Bowl not that long ago or something. Just don't listen to me. What the hell am I talking about?
All right.
Walt Norder says, what rules do you use? What you play? That's not the way it is, right?
It's probably meant to be when. Yeah.
What rules do you use when you play solitaire? Well, I play solitaire till dawn with a deck of 51.
Whose lyric is that?
That's smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. Now don't tell me I've got nothing to do. I'm watching flowers on the wall. They don't bother me at all. You don't know this song? Playing solitaire dawn with a deck of 51. Smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. Now don't tell me I got nothing to do. That's the Statler Brothers.
Yeah, no, I know this only because we've been through this loop before. But yeah, and I forgot it.
If we'd been through this loop before, I would have remembered.
Huh? Yeah, exactly.
I got a steel trap going on here.
My main rule of solitaire is play alone.
I think that if you're playing one of those video solitaire games, it just seems depressing. Solitaire's not that great.
No, I've certainly spent time playing laptop solitaire in my life, but it's not an ongoing problem. I preferred Minesweeper to solitaire. Mm-hmm. Dan Marr says Huell Hauser rises from the dead and cannot rest until you take him somewhere in California that is amazing. What place or attraction will you show Huell Hauser to grant him the peace of eternal slumber. Well, the beauty of this is anywhere you take Huell Hauser in California will be amazing. That's the magic of Huell Hauser.
Auto parts here? Do you sell auto parts?
Is that a carburetor? That's amazing.
You went off. Do you not have Eastside 76?
I guess I missed it. Oh, because it was a paste. It was a clip.
I can't even read it.
Eastside 76 says, I think there was a clip of you doing Andy Kindler meets a Barbie collector on Letterman.
Oh yes, that was a creepy thing, but he really was a Barbie collector.
And he commented on that under that clip. For my money, the funniest people on Letterman were Amy Sedaris, Andy Kindler, and a third person.
But of course, Chris Elliott was also great too. I know that you're doing my joke. Nico says, hey guys, have you seen the unique auctions on eBay to help support the strikes? If you were to put something of yours up, what would it be? Dinner? A private stand-up routine? Art? Well, maybe a watercolor. I mean, I didn't even know this was an available thing. Yeah, I would put a watercolor there, but I'm not doing it yet, so I need to do this.
I don't know. I'll have to explore it and see what the good niche is. You know, what a good... I look for the opening.
And finally, Rai says, 1988, Caboose Bar, Minneapolis. 9th song in, a song titled Road Runner. The defense now arrest, Your Honor. Can you answer this? What is this, like a riddle?
That's Bo Diddley, first of all, on that picture. And it's apparently a YouTube clip of Bo Diddley at the Caboose in 1988, which would have been when I almost killed him. He wouldn't have done that gig had things gone differently that day.
Do you remember that bar?
The Caboose, yeah.
Was it kind of a cool place or just a...
It was kind of bikery in its way. Cool. Not super bikery, but yeah, it was a rock and roll bar.
And now, folks, we're going to move from one area of the intranet. I said intranet. I hope this comes back now with my lovely, hilarious wordplay. Now we're going to move to Instagram. Take it away, Josh.
Full Dork says, what's your favorite type of sandwich? I would have to say some version of an Italian sub kind of thing.
I always
a very specific version, but
like what is it?
I'm not saying that about. I'm just saying that's my favorite type. It can be, you know.
I loved from the delis in New York. I loved the rare roast beef sandwiches. Oh my god!
What kind of bread do you have that
on? Then I think I used to have that on rye bread.
Yeah, I don't like roast beef on rye. I like all the others on rye, but I like an egg bread for a roast beef with me.
Oh, okay.
I get real goyish with the roast beef. I go mayo.
Wow.
But I like a Reuben. A Reuben is, you know, some sort of pastrami.
Oh, that's Reuben also great. Oh, I think a Reuben's the world's famous classic that you have to have.
Dan Wade asks, does this mean I can be a Jets fan again? No, he's still on the payroll. Zeke Fossey says, ever see Oh Lucky Man? It's an early 1970s Malcolm McDowell film and has a rockin' soundtrack by Alan Price. Yes, I have seen it.
I have seen it too, but I don't remember a lot of it. I think it's pretty good, right?
I remember, you know, I only have a sort of vague fondness for it and images of Malcolm McDowell in it, but I barely remember it.
Who is the lead in Clockwork Orange?
Malcolm McDowell.
Okay.
Evan Fearson says, hey, Andy, want to come to my support group for compulsive talkers? It's called On and On and On. Sorry if you've already heard that one, but it's one of my favorites.
I like it a lot.
As a fan of Andy, ever since his appearances on Dr. Katz and a longtime MST fan, I was delighted to find out you guys are friends and have a podcast. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Evan.
That's so nice. People love us in a way.
Terrence Caulfield says, no question, this is an appreciation post. My dad died recently after a long illness. This podcast really helped me get through it, so I wanted to say thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Our condolences.
I'm sorry to hear that, but that makes me happy that
the night he died, we got takeout. Chinese was his favorite. When my sister opened her fortune, it read, this is really a lovely day. Congratulations.
Terrible.
Please laugh
Terrible,
at
the
this
fortune
because
cookies.
me and my entire family did. Thanks again. GF Kinsta says Jerry Arrigo had a longer career in New York than Aaron Rodgers. Am I right, Andy?
Don't start me on that. I'll tell the story again. We go up to the second floor on the elevator. We knock on Jerry Arrigo's door. He surprisingly answers it. Can't figure out who would be there. Okay, go ahead.
But did he do the thing? I'm sure I asked this. Did he do the thing where he looked straight out, didn't see anybody, and shut the door?
I love those jokes. Those jokes always get me.
Delicious Mick says, oops, I did it again. I took it too far. Got cut from the show. I'm sorry, Joshy. I don't know what we're talking about, Delicious Mick, but let's put this one down to morning delirium, as I'd only been conscious for 6 minutes when I composed that subpar TS submission during my Dennis Miller read, please, Josh. Morning, ching.
Cool.
Damn this international time difference and my inability to read the room. Okay, seeing as any blame on my part has been deflected, please allow me to immerse us into more pressing matters. Jelly beans. Black jelly beans taste like the melted soul of a WW2 Doc Martin. Licorice is not a flavor, it's a burden, and white jelly beans taste like a newish hospice pillow. That ain't vanilla, it's a pale omen. Now, on to my show-appropriate question. Do either of you have a recurring nightmare, or at least a recurring theme for a nightmare? Mine seems to be having to enter and use a vast, unkempt public bathroom, wet floors, biologically destroyed facilities, truly horrifying. Much love, many apologies, and a third thing.
Well, first of all, I like Jelly Bellies, and I'm a big fan of the Jelly Bellies.
I like Jelly Bellies too, but they haven't solved the black problem.
Guess who doesn't enjoy Jelly Bellies now?
Mr. Type 2 diabetes. Don't they make a sugar-free Jelly Belly, don't they?
Yeah, it seems like you know what I do?
The flavor technology is still intact, so it might actually.
You know what I love is I love Nestle's Quick sugar-free. Oh my God.
Really?
It's so great. Sucralose.
Yeah. Well, it still makes you a 67-year-old man drinking chocolate milk.
I'm 66.
Okay.
Soon.
Hobbs Creek says, Dear Jelvis, can you play the It's a Long Way to Happy song? Well, in fact, I can, because I edit the show after I record this part, so I can retro put it in today's show.
Oh, my God. That's pretty cool.
So the reason that was in the break, people, is because of Hobbs Creek here.
Okay.
And they say, also, I've had What Kind of a Man stuck in my head all week, which is I Hope the World is Gentle. That song I put in last week.
I don't know what these music is.
They're Josh songs. They're me songs.
Oh, you wrote?
Yes.
Oh, well, I've heard your songs. I'm stupid.
And they stuck with you in a major way. Also, I've had What Kind of a Man stuck in my head all week. Good song. Thank you for that. Dear Andy, can you explain in full detail why you didn't want to call your parents the time you were mugged?
Oh, I can tell you why. Because I was afraid that I would get in trouble, and that I would be punished in some horrible way, if not abandoned, or something. Or they if I called them, they go, "What the fuck did you do?" or something like that.
All right.
It's not a good. It doesn't speak well of our relationship.
Well, I think the real answer is because they weren't going to help.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And my friends' parents were there like in 2 seconds. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was good. So you had their parental juice.
Yeah, but I do find it ultimately sad that would never have been an option for me.
Well, I mean, I think you might have been misreading the situation too, but whatever the case, the fact that you were conditioned to feel that way is the tragedy.
Well, the one guy had a knife.
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm going to protect you guys against these other guys." It's not good. That's what he did. He was going to protect us. People were asking us for money, and he said, "I saw that. I'm going to protect you guys, but I need money from your parent." I mean, it was a nightmare. And plus, my medallion started to look droopy, and my double breasted suit starting to come undone.
So you're saying it was a shakedown. He gave you a shakedown.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the guy, my friend's father wouldn't do it. He was like ready to kick the guy's ass or something, which would not have been my parents.
Yeah.
He was like, no, you give me nothing, you know?
Right.
Like he was trying to hold us back till the father gave us something. It's not a good, it's really, it's 42nd and 8th. I'll never forget it my whole life.
That's a better neighborhood these days than it was in 1968 or whatever this was.
When the thing came down.
When hair was out.
I've had a troubled existence.
I think it's come around, though.
Yes.
You just had to have the generation of your tormentors die off. Perush says, thanks to Andy, I'm a deadhead and a dandelion. Steely Dan head.
That's so great. They're both amazing groups.
Yeah, except Andy had never heard My Old School. That's what kind of dandelion he is.
What's My Old School?
Exactly.
Is that a Steely Dan album?
Steely Dan hit.
Oh. Is that off the Dirty Work album?
No. Guadalajara won't do. Bum, 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 bum.
I have heard it.
I knew you had, because we had this happen on the show about a year ago and you went and listened to it.
Times are hard, you're afraid to pay the fee, so you find yourself somebody. That's a great song, Dirty Work.
Yeah, that one never sounds like Steely Dan to me, that song.
I know, that's the thing that's so weird about it. It does not sound like
it sounds
Steely
like America or something. Instead of going to buymeacoffee.com/thoughtspiral this week, go to GoFundMe, buy my brother. Well, let's see if we can get this correct.
All right, and
see if we can finish off Tweet Bahara's brother's eye. See if we can do.
I'm going to do it right now
as a group. Remember, I gave 200. Just to remind you. I mean, it's there. It's like on a list. You'll look bad. You'll look bad if you get less than that. GoFundMe, name of the campaign. My brother needs a false eye! ! David Thornberry is the tweet's real name.
Got it.
All right, everybody. Let's get that eye. How about that?
That sounds pretty good, everybody. Don't forget, I'll be down at TJ Cranberry's all Sunday night with the Y95 party event.
What's funny is there used to be a gig at TJ Finnegan's on Sunday night in Mankato, Minnesota. That was the last gig of what we called the Rambo Tour.
I don't like old-timey names after a while. TJ Finnegan's.
Yeah.
Or, that's the only thing I can think of. Can you hang up on me just because it's merciful? It's merciful if you do it.
All right, here's another old-timey.
Because I have so much anxiety.
Here's another old-timey name for you. Kevorkian.
Let me take your tooth out for you there.